Good morning. This Holy Week, we will have daily opportunities to enter into this story more deeply, to remember and remember and remember how many ways we can uncover the truth about who we are on our journey together following Jesus. One of the best ways we know to understand these stories, these people and places we have inherited through our sacred texts, is to get inside of them, to look at what they were looking at, to smell the bread baking as we enter the house for worship, and to hear and to fear the sound of the chariots of the Romans, or to feel that catch in our throat when Jesus looks our way. On Palm Sunday, when we hear the Passion story as we just told it, much of that work is done for us. And when we ask the important question, I wonder where you are in this story, for some of us, that question is answered. Ed was a servant, Lillian was Peter, Sterling a centurion. We were the crowd. That said, we might have also found ourselves moving around all over this story. Maybe you felt a little embarrassed with the disciples who couldn't stay awake, or saw yourself in the servant girl who clearly had spent time around Jesus and his followers because she recognized them. But she wondered why one of his closest friends was keeping his distance in what seemed to be a critical time of need. Or perhaps you wished you could be like the angel appearing to Jesus to offer him comfort. To do so can help you understand more fully where you are in this story today. What happens to your ability to proclaim the gospel when the conditions of the day rise up and threaten to overwhelm you? There are others who must have been there, whose stories we can only imagine. I cannot help but feel the relief of Barabbas's mother when he was released, or the mother of Judas, in whom he possibly confided that his Lord had asked him to do an impossible thing, which he was not sure he could bear. Or one of many formerly blind persons who could now see what was happening only because Jesus healed them, but now seem unable to speak. And what of the lepers healed and the thousands fed from one loaf of bread? I wonder where they are in this story. Also unseen is the hearts of his closest friends. What must it have been like to be sitting there with Jesus at the table, having followed him everywhere, shared meals, told stories, witnessed his miracles, to have him tell you directly that he loves you, that he wants you to remember him, that he is grateful for your companionship and has conferred upon you God's kingdom. Were they also in the courtyard witnessing his beating and his trials? After attempting to prevent the arrest, Luke doesn't say where they went. He simply wrote, but all his acquaintances, including the women who had followed him from Galilee, stood at a distance watching these things. We cannot know which of these voices would have been ours. We muscle through the final conversations and squabbling over who is the greatest, the arrest, the flogging and death, longing to be someone we hope to be, someone we can be, or at least someone we can be in addition to those caught up in the excitement and fear of the crowds. And then, finally, there he is, a devout member of the Jewish council. That's where I long to be in this story, waiting expectantly for God's kingdom to come again, one who did not accuse Jesus. This Holy Week, we will have daily opportunities to enter into these stories, to remember and to remember and to remember how many ways we can uncover the truth about who we are on our journey together, following Jesus, sleeping, denying, afraid, remembering. not knowing what may happen next. I pray that we may have the courage to also be in this story like Joseph, who simply, humbly asks for Jesus.